about to leave, already packing, come with me.
I'm Ben.
I'm Maz.
And we moved to Australia with our children in 2016.
We've set up a new life for ourselves here on the Sunshine Coast, and we film all about it, as well as giving you some tips and tricks in case you're looking at doing the same.
We'll get away, this is what we waited for.
Hi guys, and welcome back to the Bam Family.
Today we thought we'd tell you our reasoning for why we think that Australia is a better place to live than the UK. We spent most of our lives in England, and we actually only moved over here 6 years ago, but we feel like we've spent enough time in both countries to work out what's best, certainly for us anyway. Obviously this isn't going to be the right thing for everybody, but this is why we feel that it's the best decision for us. So we thought we'd give you a bit of a comparison as to why we think that Australia is the best place for us. When it comes to income, one thing that Australia does really, really well is they have a fair work system where the wages are determined by Fair Work Australia. So whatever your job, your position in your company, Fair Work Australia has an amount that you have to be paid. So for example, I don't know what the wages are, but if you were a cleaner, you would have to be paid, I think it's like $25 or $30 per hour as a minimum. And when you're paid that, you also have to be paid more on evenings, weekends, public holidays. So for that reason, Australian employees are really well looked after.
Yeah, and wages isn't set on a whole spectrum of jobs, it is per job. So they will look into, if you're a tradesman, what your minimum should be for that trade.
The great thing about that is that it's not that somebody else can come in and offer to do the job for less as an employee. They can't. You have to be paid that amount. Fair Work Australia determine that amount. So it keeps the industry pay rates quite high. So Australians are paid very well.
It stops the employers sort of undercutting people what they should be paid. So yeah, Australia definitely win on that one, I think. Yeah,
whereas in the UK, there is a national minimum wage, but it's the national minimum wage for every single job.
Yeah.
So you could be an accountant and someone could try and pay you £9.75 an hour or whatever the minimum wage is. People can try and do that. Employers can try and do that to you. They can't here. They've got to pay you fairly. Another reason why we think that Australia is a better place to live than the UK is housing. A lot of people say, oh, is housing affordable? So you've got, obviously in the north and south of England, there's a big divide housing price wise. So you know that if you go up to the north of England, you're going to pay less for a house than you would pay in the south. Well, it's similar here in that there are areas where you will pay more and there are areas where you will pay less. So if you move close to a city or in a city, you're going to pay more for housing here. There has also been a humongous boom, hasn't there, in the last few years?
Yeah, last 2 years, I believe.
Yeah.
But massively the last year.
Yeah. And house prices, many people's house prices have jumped by hundreds of thousands of dollars. So it's become unaffordable for a lot of people to live where they have lived for years. However, there are still areas that are really well priced, and you might have to travel that little bit further. So you might have to go half an hour away from, you know, where you would really love to be. But you don't have to go that far out to find affordable housing.
No, definitely not. Obviously, living on the coast is going to be more pricier than living inland. And definitely living down south nearer Sydney and Melbourne is definitely going to be a lot more pricier than up this end of the world.
But we also feel like with the housing, something you mentioned when we were chatting earlier, is that they're not crammed in, are they?
Yeah, you don't often get terraced houses here. They're pretty much detached houses everywhere, pretty much, aren't they?
Yeah, I think if you went to Melbourne and Sydney, you'd probably find more terraced housing in the city.
But I believe that would be more the older houses, like the real, when English settlers first come over. You definitely get a lot more land for your money.
Yeah.
Obviously, sometimes if you live in the city, you might end up looking at apartments and flats. But apart from that, if you're looking at houses, they're generally detached houses.
Not so crammed in as we were in the UK. There's ample space for everybody. With regards to housing, we think that Australia definitely wins it. Because although a lot of the house prices have gone up, there is still housing that costs a lot less, and there is a lot more space for everybody.
And it's a different style of house here as well. Here, generally, where we are, it's normally wooden framed houses.
And for those of you who don't know us, we're in Queensland. We're actually on the Sunshine Coast, so we're in a lovely area of Australia.
Yeah, it's very sunny.
Yeah.
As in the name.
Well, not all the time. The last 6 months have been a little bit drab.
Yes. But you need water to water all this beautiful greenery around us.
Yeah, true. And apparently you can't overwater grass. Not our grass, down in our lower paddocks.
That's what Mia thinks. 5 metres underwater. It's got a good amount of water now.
Yeah. But you can't overwater it because it's still alive.
Another great reason is the cost of living here.
In the past, the cost of living in Australia seemed to be a little bit higher than the UK, but from what we've heard recently, the prices in the UK seem to have jumped up massively. I'm not talking about the items like clothes and, you know, those kind of things, or homewares or whatever. I'm talking more about the price of food, the price of utility bills, the price of council rates. It seems now that it's pretty comparable. And it doesn't seem like we're paying more than people in the UK are paying.
No, I think the only reason why the UK was kept low on like food and stuff like that, because it was covered Europe, and it's easier to travel and export stuff and import stuff. Where here in Australia, it's a little bit harder. But now it seems level pegging with Europe.
Yeah. I think one of the other things, we've been hearing a lot of awful things from the UK recently. So with regards to people saying that they have to choose between heating or eating, it's got so dire. And I know that's not the case for everybody, but it seems to be something that's on a lot of people's minds. And it actually really is saddening, isn't it?
It is.
And we're not in that situation here. Like, the cost of things has gone up, but wages, people had enough spare that it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
I think the thing that's gone up the most here is rent. Yeah, rental prices have definitely gone up here, but a lot of people, as we said, are moving further away from the more desirable areas, and there are new areas that are now up and coming and getting quite trendy. As far as housing goes, we think that although house prices have gone up, we do think that because there's more space and because housing that's just that little bit further out is still affordable, we also think that housing wins here as well.
Double thumbs up.
Yeah, no cramming.
So the next one we want to touch on is transport. So this one, I would actually say England and UK outdo Australia on this one.
Yes. Now, this is something that we've been ripped to shreds on by many people when we've mentioned this previously. But the ability to get somewhere quickly and also relatively cheaply and get to pretty much anywhere you want in Europe easily, we think that's a definite plus for the UK. Although there are transport links here, in regional areas it's certainly not as easy. There certainly aren't as many choices on how to get to places.
Yeah, let's not get things wrong. Australia does have transport, and it is good transport. It's just, it's not so.
It's more in the cities.
Yeah, it's not so widespread, I'd say.
Yeah.
Like when you come more rural, it's very hard to get to A to B.
Pretty much. The difference is that you don't have a train station in every suburb.
Yeah.
And certainly if you go more regionally, you could just not be anywhere near a train station or train line.
Yeah. And also taxis aren't as available as we found the other day.
Yeah, we went out for a date night and we couldn't get a taxi there.
Well, we was told we could get a taxi, but it would take about an hour, hour and a half before it would turn up. And at that point, it was like, well, everything's going to be shut by then. So
yeah, so we took the car and we just ditched it and ended up getting a taxi home. And we didn't care that we were waiting for the taxi when we're in the bar.
Yeah, when you've got a drink in your hand, you don't really mind waiting.
Anyway, so for that reason, and we know we're going to get a little bit of
stick about this
because, yeah, we have done in the past. But we do think that the travel networks in the UK and Europe are a lot easier to use.
A lot more options for airlines in Europe, where here in Australia there's only really 3 main ones.
Yeah, Virgin, Qantas and another.
Yes. The other one.
The other one. Write it in the comments because we know you know.
Yeah. I think I've got the picture of it in my head, but
Tiger?
Is it tiger? It's some kind of animal.
Something like that.
Some kind of predatory animal. But yeah, obviously Europe, there's a lot more options, a lot more airlines trying to fight to get people on their flights. So I'm sorry, but definitely UK and Europe win that one.
In all fairness, it's 3 to Australia already, but 1 to the UK.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're not sorry. Sorry, not sorry.
Yes.
It is what it is. When it comes to family days out, we find it a lot more affordable here.
When we used to go out in the UK, you could never really go out for free. And parking in the UK was always pretty expensive.
Miserable as well.
It was, wasn't it? Yeah. And it was always trying to find a park as well, because obviously where the population's so much more dense, it was always going to be harder to find somewhere.
If you wanted to go to the beach on a sunny day and you would drive around a seaside town looking for a park, and it was stressful and soul destroying.
And then you go sit on a load of stones.
Yeah.
Which isn't great.
Do you remember we went to Dimchurch that day and we looked for about an hour to find a park, and I just wanted to go home. It was just the most stressful experience.
Well, I think with that one, when we went to Dimchurch, there was us and another family.
Yeah.
And I think I was actually on a motorbike as well that day. So we had to find 2 car parking spaces and somewhere for me to put the motorbike.
Oh, awful
so
experience. Terrible.
But anywho. Anywho. Over here in Australia, it seems a lot easier. You definitely find a parking space when you are looking for going to the beach and stuff like that. Parks are always pretty good for parking as well. And then they put a lot more free things to do. So you have the free barbecues that you can use. There's a lot of parks.
And when you go to a theme park, what we would have paid for one day out in the UK to go to a theme park, we could buy an annual pass for that amount here.
Big win.
And because of the weather, we can actually go for days out.
Yeah.
You've got to have a lot of cashola to be able to go out for a rainy day in the UK.
You do, yeah.
So about the lifestyle. So basically the stage we're at 4 to Australia, 1 to the UK. And now we're on lifestyle. Can you guess which way this is going to go?
UK.
So, I think the first thing we need to mention, which is obvious, is the weather.
Yep.
I feel like the cost of living, because wages are so high, you have money left over, and it means that you can spend money on going on days out. It means that you can afford to have fun.
And you can, because of the weather and the size of the property you have, because obviously normally you have a pool, You have alfresco areas. You can invite people around for barbecues. A lot of the interaction with other people is literally a barbecue or a gathering at your property or their property.
It's very normal actually, and I think this might be something that we'd kind of forgotten about, to have an alfresco area where you have an outdoor dining and cooking area here. It's not, in fact I think it would be more unusual not to have that here.
Yes, definitely.
Most houses have that. To sum up,
To summarise,
that's, what was it, 5 to Australia, 1 to the UK. So,
oh actually, backtrack a little bit. One thing that was very good about the UK though is the nightlife.
yes.
I definitely say UK had a very, very good nightlife.
I think it's fair to say that there's nothing quite like a night out in London.
Definitely.
And
There's so many good shows as well there, like
Yeah.
and theatres.
we've not quite experienced that here. So that is, okay, that's fair to say that we think the UK wins that one. A night out in London is just good. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, you're never too far from jumping on like the tube, and you can go to Europe as well for a bit of lifestyle there as well. if
Yeah,
really
you
wanted
could
to.
just, I mean, for us, we lived in the south of England, so we could have just nipped down to France, to Paris for a night and
And back again, really.
yeah, no, easily. He's thrown a curveball in there, so that definitely is a plus for the UK. But on the whole, Australia still wins it because of wages, cost of living,
Housing.
outdoor lifestyle, obviously beaches. The UK has beaches, but it's soul destroying trying to park near them.
And then to sit on a pebble beach.
I
No
know
one.
it has. There are some nice sandy beaches.
Not many.
Canberra Sands, Dymchurch,
Not compared to Australia.
the whole coast. Yeah.
Thousands
Okay.
of kilometres of beach.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sandy beach.
Oh yeah, I
Clear
honestly
water.
am not fighting that Australia has better beaches. Anywho, we realise that that's not the case and that's not how everybody would feel. I know for one, my brother would absolutely hate to live here. He is happy where he is, and so we know that not everybody feels the same as us, and that the UK is absolutely the right decision for many people. But on paper, logically, Australia certainly wins. Please give this video a like. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We'll see you next Sunday if we don't see you on Instagram first, at the Bam Fam Lab in Australia.
Good plug.
Thank you.
Welcome.
I'm so kind of, I run into it so smoothly
You
now.
do now, don't you?
See you next week.
True. Really?
Yeah.
Without further ado, housing.
Income.
And another reason, housing. We definitely aren't as crammed in as what we was in the UK.
Yeah, we're not even as crammed in as we were at the last house.
Yes, definitely not. That goes for, what would you call it? It's not an agent, is it? It's the person that owns the house that rents it out.
The landlord.
Yeah, it's not plane operators, is it? What's the plane ones?
Plane operators.
No.
Plane. Oh, I don't know. I don't care.
We're here
Airlines.
Yes. It's definitely not a koala.
No, it's not koala air.
That'd be cool though.
Yeah, it would.
Be a bit slow getting there though.
I only work 4 hours a day.
Yeah, napping for the rest.
So what we would pay for a day out here would be probably, so what you would pay for an annual ticket to somewhere in the UK, no. What?
Right, and then they put on a lot more freer? Is it freer?
No. I think restaurants here are amazing. Cocoa Pop! So,
Sorry.
gosh, he's thrown a curveball in. Oh, he's...
Can't get them knees in, can you?
Yeah, you can't even argue that.
And you shouldn't. Take our advice. Move here.
Be sure to watch these awesome videos, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and follow us on our socials at the Bam Fam Lam in Australia.